This is good. Right here. Man, I never really noticed how yellow, like, the rim is. It's kind of weird. What's going on, y'all? This is MDT for real, doing a review. Yeah, this is weird, isn't it? No, so, you ever just play one of those games and, like, and it just awakens something special in you? That doesn't make any sense. But, I just got done playing Spider-Man PS4, and I have over like 100 hours in that game. It is just such a phenomenal game. I loved it so much. I enjoyed the combat. Um, the story had so much heart into it. Um, the soundtrack was really good too. I'm amazed by that. And the best part is the characterization of Peter Parker, which I swear none of the movies were able to do right. I don't get it. Like, I don't understand what's so hard about doing Peter Parker. Like, it's really not that hard. And yet Insomniac nailed it in one take. Hollywood, take notes. Um Man, like, I just love the game. It's honestly one of my top 3 games of last generation. Spider-Man, Last of Us Part 2, and Ghost of Tsushima. Did I even point at that? Yeah, Ghost of Tsushima. It's it's just a fun game. You know, it's just fun to play. Like, I can just up the game, and it's just fun to play. Like, a lot of games nowadays, they don't really seem to do that. They just, they're focused on the graphics, which is not a bad thing, but they lose the fun focus in it. And Insomniac Spider-Man manages to nail all aspects of it. Except, I guess the characters do look a little cartoony, but I think that's going to be fixed in the sequel. Hopefully they won't focus too much on that. But it's the sequel. Ooh, the sequel. I think that we'll talk about that next time. But it deserves to be played. I swear it had its time when it came out, but I need more. I just want more. I'm about to start the DLCs again. I haven't played them since they came out. There was a lot of levels. I think it was in Turf Wars, the second one. That kind of irked me. But it's just one of those games. It's just a joy to play, start to finish. It's a lot quicker than normal. One thing I didn't like, though, were the stealth sequences. Ugh. Oh man, I mean, I know they wanted to break the gameplay away, but honestly, we didn't need them. We didn't really need to play as Mary Jane, and we didn't need to play as Miles. Not yet. And those stealth sections were just really annoying. Not like annoying to like where I wanted to just like break the controller down to the ground, but I could do without them. Yeah, we didn't really need them. And also, another thing I didn't really like was the end game stuff. Besides the missions with Tomb Raider, Tombstone, and I think Tombstone and the backpack missions. Other than that, like, once you do the levels with like the levels with it's coming up a blank. Those what's his name? The dude from Daredevil. It's not coming to me. But y'all know who I'm talking about. I can't think of his name. The anyways, but those types of missions, like, I was just, I could do without them. They weren't all that they weren't all that great, in my opinion. They're fun to do, every once in a while, but I can do it now. And it's actually bothering me, so I'm gonna look at it real quick. Luckily, I have the game open. Stable, no. Kingpin, yes, Kingpin. Ah, see, I knew that. I knew it. I was just, the nerves, the first video nerves, even though it's not really my first video, but it's the first video I'm taking seriously. And I'm already swearing up. I just need to relax, but I think the sooner I do it, the more I do it, um, the more I'll get used to it. But, what else? Also, the amount of suits in this game, they're really cool, like in the abilities and all that. Um, but I think hopefully for the sequel they give you more side missions to do that mean more versus just doing a whole bunch of collectibles and taking pictures and all that. It's like, come on now, we don't really need all that. Is there anything else I want to talk about? The gadgets were really cool. My favorite was the trip mine. It kind of there's these certain types of missions where you have to stealthily take out all the enemies, and I really like those segments because it reminded me a lot of the Batman Arkham games and just taking them out one by one and without them even knowing you're there. There's something just satisfying about that. I just finished playing the remastered version, so the load times were pretty much non-existent. I already mentioned the backpack collectibles, but I really liked it because you get to get into Peter's Peter's life. You get to see all the really cool his really cool life, the life he had, and what it was like him during the 8 years of him being Spider-Man, and how that would and what he left behind and all that. Just his experience being Spider-Man, it was really cool. Um, but other than that, yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to say. Spider-Man PS4, it's just such a phenomenal game. Insomniac, if for some odd reason you ever listen to this, thank you. And I really cannot wait for the sequel. You've created one of my favorite games of all time, and I just love how I can just hop into it whenever I'm bored, and I never feel bored whenever I play this game. It's just so much fun. Even also, I can't believe I didn't even didn't even mention it. The web slinging is the best it's ever been. People always say Spider-Man 2's web slinging was the best, and I'm like, I think Spider-Man 3 had better web slinging. At least on the PS2, that was the one I played. Um, yeah, and I hope you guys are definitely gonna bring it for the sequel. Hopefully, I can talk about that another time. But as you can see, this video didn't really have any sense of rhythm. I was just kind of saying what on the first anything that just went above my head. And yeah, I think that's about it. I also loved the bond you see between Peter and Otto Octavius. And I love how Insomniac kept that a secret. That was really cool. All leading up to a final showdown with friends having to stop each other and Peter having to, in a way, stop his own creation. And I think the thing that made me the most, it tugged at my heartstrings, was them having the gall to kill Aunt May. Not that that was a bad thing, but I was like, whoa, that was heavy. And it really, like, it's so crazy because Uncle Ben died because of Peter's lack of responsibility. And then Aunt May died because of Peter's responsibility to the city. Like, he just cannot catch a break. uh, Also, the game was a little too easy. In the bosses, yeah, the bosses, they were cool. They weren't horrible, but it was a little too easy. I think for the next game, bosses need to be more like the Mr. Negative and Doc Ock fights. Oh, in the Taskmaster fight. Yeah, they need to be more like those. Because the Vulture and Electro fights, those were not. They were cool, but it was easy. Like, you know, anybody could have done it. Just a little bit more challenging. Yeah, yeah. That's about. I think that's about it. I'm looking through the missions right now. Um. Oh, and don't. I didn't like how they tied how you got the skills. How they tied it to you having to do all the collectibles. I did not like that. That was annoying. Ugh. Like, I don't want to take pictures all the time. Like, it's just they're just like some of the side activities are just they're not fun. Like, well, I won't say they're not fun, but they're just very repetitive. You know. Um, like I would have just loved to have done more side missions. Like the DLC that's in the game, those should have been side missions. That should not have been sold as DLC, if I'm being honest. Kind of a ripoff. But hopefully Insomniac learns from that. Make the side missions more like the DLC missions. Well, not the DLC missions, but the DLC stories, and make those side missions. That would be cool. They should do that. I hope they do that. And yeah, that's that's about it. Um, I think for my next video, I'm just gonna do a whole bunch of Marvel related stuff. Um, probably gonna talk about the MCU next. So that's about it. That's all I have to say about Spider-Man. Um, thank you guys for listening. Um, you know, you may not like what I have to say, but I appreciate you for listening. That's what matters. Um, that is about it. I will catch y'all in my next video. All right. See y'all later.